I quite often get channels of information come through to me. For a lot of years, I didn't realise what was happening. And then for a lot of years, I realised something was happening. And so I used to write down about the information that I would get. And then it was interesting to me that in the coming days or weeks, accounts that I followed, people that I followed, were talking similar information. So I've learnt to trust the channels, but my channels come in a metaphorical way. And so I believe that that's so that different people can get different things from the channels. But I'm having one come in today. I quite often talk about being in the arena. And Brene Brown, I think, talked about being in the arena and how... Oh, there goes my breakfast, hang on. And how being in the arena is a different experience to being outside the arena. And that people who are outside in the stands of the arena, with all their different vantage points to watch you, will have different opinions and different views of what's going on in the arena. But at the end of the day, the guts to step out into the arena is huge. And that in itself is a feat, right? To actually get out there and have a go at something, even if you fall flat on your face, or it doesn't go as you thought it would, or it's overwhelming, or it's all the things, right? Because let's face it, if you are the centre of all of those people in the arena's attention, whether it's a room of 20 people or a studio of 100 people or a big sporting arena of 10,000 people, having all of those people's energy on you is big, and you need to be able to hold that and do whatever it is that you're out there doing, right? So, but the channel that's coming through today is it's important when you are in the arena to have a few people that you trust who are sitting in the stands that can give you some accurate information that will help you improve on your next go in the arena. And that's huge, right? We can have people who want to give us feedback in our lives who are well-meaning but don't have a clue about what it is that you're doing that they are giving you feedback on. So their feedback will be null and void because it doesn't mean anything. And quite often when people give us feedback or things like that, they are giving us a reflection of the fears and the things that they hold within them, and they're only doing it for our best good and all the things, although there are people called frenemies who will quite knowingly feed you false information to keep you where you are. But that's a whole other thing. That's not what this channel's about. It's about having a few trusted people out in the arena that can then give you the feedback afterwards. People don't get out into the arena on their own, right? Take a sporting person, for example, a tennis player. They don't just have a coach. They have a nutritionist. They have people close to them that support them, that help them, that maybe pay their rent or drive them places or pick up some of the slack of other areas while they're training and travelling and doing all the things. They have mindset coaches. They have publicists. They have photographers. They have an outer shell of people outside of that help them, which would be the tournament people who do all stuff tournament, right, that these places people go to. There are layers and layers and layers of people that help to get that finished product, the tennis player, to come out onto the court. Now that in itself is a victory, to even get out there, because, you know, that's a huge thing. And we look at people and we think, oh, they lost or they whatever. Some of the people who have lost in their first, second, third year rounds of trying their thing for the first time have not lost, and they don't view it as a loss. They view it as, oh my gosh, I actually got there, right? I got there. So then they can use the information that they have gleaned and gathered from that first and second and third year, where it seems to us, the crowd, that they've lost, but they can take all of that and they've won every year, right? Because then that builds into who they are. It's the same thing for a singer. You know, you're only as good as your production team. You're only as good as your lighting guys. You're only as good as your catering people who get the right food for you, and the exercise person who is helping you to be fit and healthy enough to be able to go out and do an hour or an hour and a half show. You know, you're only as good as your equipment. You're only as good. There are layers to things, right? And so it's important to have people within those layers that are going to give you the God's honest truth about stuff. So coming back to the arena, if life is the arena, your life is the arena, right? You want to have people in your life that are going to give you some honest feedback, some people that you can take criticism from, that you will appreciate, that will appreciate where you are and where you're at, that will be honest with you, but that's going to be relevant to what you're doing. Does that make sense? You know, it takes guts to put yourself out there. It takes guts to have the ability to be able to go and stand in front of other people and be the sole focus. You've got to have a great capacity to be able to hold the energy of 100 eyes on you, 1,000 eyes on you, 10,000 eyes on you, right? When you're getting up into big arenas where there are 10,000 eyes on you, it's not just about you either. You are the thing that these people are coming to see. But then underneath you is the pressure and stress of knowing that you've got to deliver to those people who paid that money to see you, or those people who came to see you. And that you've got to show up at your best, because there are people who are working in the arena, who are cleaning the toilets, who are showing people to their seats, who are doing the food, who are doing all the stuff, and they rely on you for their income to be able to go home and feed their family. Right? The metaphors that come in are huge. This one is big. This one is it's coming through to me under a bigger umbrella of what am I going to do different in 2026? What do I want 2026 to give me? At the end of the year, this time next year, what do I want to be celebrating? What do I want to be making notes of? What do I want to be feeling good about? What do I want to have achieved by this time next year? And then it's about making notes on that and dreaming big. You know, sometimes people say, I'm not getting what I want. It's because you're not dreaming big enough, right? You're not going to go out to a restaurant and want a 3-course dinner and then just order a soup and a garlic bread and be satisfied, are you? You're going to come to the end of that meal and be like, oh, yeah, well, I'm still hungry. I probably need to get a pizza on the way home. I'm really, I watched that person eat their steak. They didn't even ask me if I wanted to taste. You had the opportunity to order the steak, dude. Right? Does that make sense? 2026 will be what you allow it to be, what you intend it to be, and then follow through on the intentions that you have. And then follow through with not just intentions, but then action. But not just action, aligned action. But not just aligned action. Aligned action that is true to you, to your core, to your blueprint, to your values, to your vision. And sometimes you're going to have to put blinders on and block out some of the noise and what I call the barking dogs on either side of you that are trying to give you feedback that is not relevant, because they don't know what you're doing. They don't know what you're setting out to achieve. They don't know what it's like to stand up. These people have never stood up in front of anyone. So their feedback may well be null and void for what you are doing, regardless of their intention. They may just be trying to help you. They may just be trying to save you from falling flat on your face. They may just be addressing some of the things that within them have stopped them from doing whatever you're doing. And then there are some people who don't want you to be successful, and they will do it too. I always have to just touch on that, because that is a fact too, right? All sorts of things will set you up for your year. But going into a year and saying, I want it to be better than this year, and doing nothing different or doing nothing at all, or listening to the feedback of 100% of the people who are giving you feedback on stuff, you're going to be sitting there miserable at the end of the year. You are going to be that person in the restaurant who had the opportunity to order the 3-course meal with the steak and the hors d'oeuvres and the dessert and but chose to order soup and garlic bread. You're going to be that person, miserable, jealous of other people, wishing that they'd given you a taste of their stuff, which there was no reason for them to give that to you, because you chose to have the soup and the garlic bread. You could have chosen to partake in the 3-course meal, but for whatever reason you didn't. These are all things to think about, right? We need to surround ourselves with people who are going to help us embrace the us who we want to be, not the us that we don't like or the us that we're trying to not be anymore. You know, if you're an alcoholic, you're not going to go and hang out in bars Friday, Saturday nights with your friends and just drink lemonade. Eventually that pressure is a lot. Do you know what I mean? If you're a gambler, you're not going to go and you think, right, next year I'm not going to gamble because I've lost so much money, this, that and the other. But you're not going to go and spend the weekends with your gambling mates, because they'll be just like, oh, I can just bet one race. And then you might bet and you might win and then all of a sudden you're back there, and then the end of the year comes and you're just in the same position that you were in this time of this year. Does that make sense? You need to find people who are what you want to become. I'm not saying to ditch all your friends and ditch all your things, but maybe I am saying you might need to ditch some of your friends and ditch some of your stuff. You might need to make some really, really big intentional changes, to which then you will get feedback from those people saying, oh, she thinks she's better than us, and oh, who do you think you are, and oh yeah, you know, that's just going to fall flat on its face. What are you going to do? You're going to sit down and just decide, yeah, God, who am I to think that I could have a YouTube channel? Who am I to think that I could learn to sing and be performing in the performance next year at Christmas? Who am I to think that I could be singing in the Christmas carols in church next year? Who am I to think I could be an author at the end of the year next year? Who am I to think that I could be X, Y, Z? Put your thing in here. Is that what you're going to do? You're going to sit down with them and commiserate the stuff that you didn't even try? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think next year is the year for you to decide. I'm going to stand in that freaking arena, and I'm going to have a few people in my pocket that love me, that I trust, that if they do have to give me feedback that's harsh, I will understand that it's coming from a place of love and a place of wanting me to succeed, and that's why they're doing it. I'm going to block out all the other people at this point, because I want to get to this time next year and be celebrating that I actually stood in the arena. Not that it was successful, not that it was the best thing ever, not that it was the be-all, end-all, but the fact that I got in there and did my thing that I said I was going to do. And that I got some feedback from that, and I learnt some lessons, and I've got some experience. That I went and played my first game of tennis and I lost. I didn't win a set, but I know what it takes to get there and step out there now. So next year when I go again, I've got all that feedback, so that when I step out, I'm going to be a bit more prepared. I'm going to be a bit more this. I know the workings of it now. I know not to do this. I know not to do that. I know to do that. I met people who told me things that would help me, because they remember being me, right? When I was, they remember being that first time they stepped out on the tennis court, and they remember, and they are helping me to grow and expand into that person, right? Things sometimes take time. They take more than a year. But do you want to be a step ahead of where you are this year now, next year, at this time next year? Do you though? Or are you so attached to who you are now and your miseries and woes and your life? Because let's face it, it may not be as exciting as doing something new, but at least you know. It's comfortable, right? You know, you can go and do whatever with your friends and whatever, and it may not be satisfying, but it's not scary, because you know. Is that where you're at? Cool. That's how you want your year to be? Freaking fantastic. Live the hell out of 2026 like that. But if that's not where you want to be, maybe you need to think about some of the things that I've talked about in this video. They may be helpful for you. They may help you to grow. They may help you to get off the Groundhog Day wheel of going year after year after year, wanting it to be different, praying for it to be different, making resolutions to make it be different, and then getting to the end of the year and it's just another year of the same. Like I said, if your year's good and you're happy and you're feeling good, by all means. Cheers to you, buddy. I think that's amazing, right? But if it's not, this is who I'm talking to you. If you're not satisfied, you're not happy, and you want to do different, you want to do more, you want to do better, you want to just do something. My word for the year next year, for 2026, is satisfaction. And I'm going to be satisfied that I have done all I can do. I'm not talking about being satisfied necessarily with the end result, because that's a lot of pressure. I don't know. If I'm trying all sorts of things new, how am I going to know what the satisfying end result is? But I'm going to challenge myself to step out into the arena next year and to have a couple of good people in my pocket who are going to give me honest feedback from a place that is from love and from wanting to see me expand and from helping me to step out into the arena again. I'm going to block the rest, and I'm going to put my head down and go. Are you with me? What's your thing? What do you want to do? Make some notes. Allow yourself to dream big, and then allow yourself to dream big again, and then allow yourself to dream bigger, right? Make some notes. Get into it, get excited, get that feeling of excitement, and then work out from there how you can take a couple of steps towards that in 2026. I hope this video is helpful. These channels are amazing. I love it. It inspires me. It excites me. It lights me up. And my intention of sharing them is to help you be excited, light you up, perhaps give you a different way of thinking about things, perhaps giving you a different door in to the next year. Open the door. It's ready. It's waiting for you. Okay. Love you.